Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very good evening to you and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Nena Orawa. And our top stories tonight. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. On our first story, leaders from the West African sub-region have expressed readiness to crush terrorism in partnership with other world leaders. This formed the crux of the submission at the Second Regional Security Summit held in Abuja. Our State House correspondent Abiola Oluwole has more on the summit aimed at ending the menace of Boko Haram. We'll bring you that story in our subsequent bulletins. President Muhammadu Buhari says the challenge confronting the northeast region of Nigeria is how to restore basic social amenities. Addressing journalists and today after a meeting with the visiting president of France, François Hollande, at the presidential villa Abuja, President Buhari explained that the federal government has conducted a comprehensive survey on infrastructure challenges in the region. He added that government would soon start to empower the people of the region. Over 2 million persons were displaced in the northeast in the over 6 years of insurgency by Boko Haram terrorists, pushing for the establishment of an Islamic State and an end to Western education in the region. The European Union says the ongoing regional security summit in Abuja will build on the successes already recorded against Boko Haram insurgents. The statement released today in Abuja, the office of the EU delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, discloses that the summit builds on the work of the first security summit hosted by France 2 years ago, which had helped in degrading Boko Haram insurgency. It says the EU remains committed to building capacities of the African partner countries in support of security and development. The statement further points out that building capacities of the African partner countries in support of security and development will enable them prevent and manage crises by themselves. The French government is promising to continue providing the needed support for Nigeria to fast-track efforts aimed at clearing the remnants of the Boko Haram insurgents from the country. French President François Hollande affirmed this at a media brief alongside President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa.
The French president was ushered into the forecourt of the State House by the ceremonial pipers officers at 10 a.m. After the inspection of the guard of honor mounted by the military, both presidents and their team went in for a closed-door meeting. Briefing State House correspondent after the meeting, President Buhari says bilateral agreements were signed on science and technology, agriculture, amongst other critical sectors of the economy. The president maintains that reintegrating the over 2 million internally displaced persons back to the society is top on the priority of his government.
More than 60% of those are women and children. Most of the children are orphaned. They didn't even know where they come from and they don't know their parents. This for people of conscience is of great concern.
Speaking through an interpreter, President Hollande commends Nigerian government for sustaining the fight against the insurgents. He says France will not lose sleep until the terrorists are defeated. The French president is in Nigeria to attend the second Regional Security Summit. Bilateral relations between the two countries, according to the two presidents, date back to 1902. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Abiola Oluwole reporting for CoreTV News.
The United Kingdom says it has approved £40 million, about 14 billion naira, to assist Nigeria in the fight against insurgency. The UK Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond made this known as he arrived for the one-day Regional Security Summit holding in Abuja. The UK's support includes training of almost 1,000 Nigerian military personnel for deployment to the northeast of Nigeria and counter-insurgency operations. Hammond stresses that the legends of the Boko Haram group and potential coordination with Daesh is a reminder of the threat they present to the region and to British interests. President Muhammadu Buhari today in Abuja lauded the international community for its efforts at ensuring economic and political stability in the West African sub-region. President extolled the international community at a joint news conference with President François Hollande of France after a closed the meeting at the presidential villa. President Buhari says Nigeria would remain grateful to France for the efforts it has been making towards ensuring peaceful coexistence in the country and beyond. He also expresses appreciation to the French president for inviting him to address the summit of G7 held in Strasbourg, France. In his remarks, President Hollande, who spoke in French, praises the Nigerian president for his leadership qualities. He also applauds President Buhari for being able to mobilize the multinational joint task force and spearhead the fight against Boko Haram. Troops of 21 Brigade and Ragged Team of Armed Forces Special Forces in Operation Crackdown inside Sambisa Forest successfully repelled an attack by Boko Haram terrorists early this morning. The Acting Director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Sani Kukashika Usman, who disclosed this, says they recovered 2 corpses of the attackers, 2 AK-47 rifles, 2 rocket-propelled grenade bombs, 5 rifle magazines, mortar bombs, and a belt of machine gun rounds. Having noted that 5 soldiers were wounded in the action as a result of mortar fired into the harbor area by the Boko Haram terrorists. Bubaka further disclosed that the wounded soldiers have been evacuated for treatment. Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa set up a high-powered advocacy committee headed by the Deputy Governor, Kingsley Otuaro, to tackle pipeline vandalism in the state. Members of the committee include Commissioner for Youth Development, Asupa Foteta, Commissioner for Oil and Gas, Mofe Pira, Special Advisor on Niger Delta Affairs, Kelly Penawu, Special Advisor on Petroleum Matters, Boston Ebikeme, amongst others. While inaugurating the committee, he ordered them to proceed to the riverine areas of the state, especially the Trabwood Baramatu Kingdom, to speak to the people and advocate for an immediate stop of the ongoing facility destruction. The governor directed the committee to find the immediate and remote causes of a resurgence of militancy and create platforms of dialogue. Away from security matters, the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says it is time to take forward the solar power project in the country and begin to deploy it as an integral part of the energy mix in the federal government's effort to achieve incremental power. In a meeting with sponsors, investors and promoters of solar energy to discuss how to bridge gap between the cost of solar and other sources of energy available. Fashola says Nigeria needs all the energy it could possibly source in order to attain the goal of incremental, steady and ultimately uninterrupted power. The minister assures that government will soon sign a commercial agreement and power purchase agreement so that sponsors of the solar initiatives could go to their financiers and banks to draw down and start the project across the country. Fashola says the objective is to quickly get the investors back to site where they will not only deliver the project but to ensure that those workers that later have returned to work so as to help begin to rebuild the Nigerian economy page by page, block by block and section by section. The Nigeria Labour Congress and its affiliate unions are giving the federal government till May 17 to revert to the old fuel palm price or embark on an indefinite strike action starting Wednesday. This is contained in the joint communique issued at the end of emergency meetings of the National Executive Councils of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress and civil society organizations held in Abuja. Also, still on the fuel scarcity, still on the fuel new hike in fuel price, Petroleum and Natural Gas Industry Association of Nigeria, Pengason, has refuted a claim that endorsed the new price, the premium motor spirit known as petrol. An address after a joint press conference with NLC and TUC, President of Pengason, Francis Johnson, said unions in the oil and gas sector merely supported the deregulation of downstream sector, with a condition the government must immediately engage all stakeholders in the nation's economy to find a way forward. He said they were also opposed to allowing the deregulation of the industry to be driven by imports, pointing out the government must also find a way of ensuring the nation's refineries are working at optimal capacity. Johnson, however, expressed the fear that the factionalization of the Nigeria Labour Congress may affect effective negotiation with government on the way forward, pointing out that Labour must find a way of presenting a common position on all issues. The National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers, NAPE, has expressed support for the position of the federal government to fully deregulate the downstream sector of the oil and gas. In a statement by its national president, Isaac Balami, the union said regulation is a step in the right direction and it's long overdue, but it's better late than never. The union further commended the federal government for what it called a bold decision, pointing out that the subsidy scheme was extremely fraud-prone. NAPE further advised the government to ensure that the money saved from these developments will be put into infrastructure that would create jobs for Nigerians and ensure that the nation's refineries are at optimum production capacity. Residents of Jalingo, the Taraba state capital, are crying out to the government to make petrol available in the state. Following the federal government's decision to remove the subsidy, reactions like this have continued to pour in. Our correspondent, Uduak Gadwin, reports that despite the removal of subsidy, the product is still scarce in Taraba State.
Nigeria is one of the world's top oil-producing countries, but recently the country has been going through difficult moments with the unavailability of the product. It looks as if the biting fuel issue will never come to an end, but with the removal of subsidy, one will expect changes in availability of fuel. But it is not so in Taraba State, as most filling stations do not have the product for sale.
It is this fuel that you transport your product, farm products. And once you transport them at a higher rate, definitely the price of the food product will rise.
Nigerians are really suffering. Since the APC government came into power, we have been suffering. And we are appealing to APC government. If they cannot rule this country, they should hand over.
Residents are, however, expressing mixed feelings with the removal of fuel subsidy.
The subsidy I support them as the removal. Why? Because this our marketers, they will pay something for you. You will bring them for you, not sell them the way this thing will enjoy them.
I don't know, maybe it will be better. Those want the best in for our economy, like the petroleum sector. People are suffering seriously.
Nigerians are going through untold hardship in the face of the lingering fuel scarcity, which is affecting every part of the country. The expectation is that with such steps taken by the government, the lingering fuel crisis in the country will be a thing of the past. Udwa Godwin, CoreTV News, Jalingo.
In spite of the current economic realities bedeviling the nation, Nigerians continue to hope for the best and have chosen to stay happy. At an event in Lagos to ease our tension and the usual hustling and bustling, some Nigerians expressed expectations for a better country. Our correspondent, Victoria Suleiman, was there and now reports.
For several days now, since the federal government removed subsidy on the downstream sector of the petroleum industry, and the pegging of the pump price of petrol at 145 naira per litre, Nigerians are not deterred. In a cosmopolitan city like Lagos, with hustling and bustling at every side to make ends meet, what keeps Nigerians going is their resolve to be joyful in spite of daunting circumstances. It is on this note that the family talk show was put together to further help Nigerians ease out their stress.
We should take Lagosians out of the whole stress of political issues that is going on, the social issues of no fuel or fuel is too expensive and all of that, to just relax and talk about love and family and well-being.
A participant shares her opinion about the event.
Lagos is a very stressful city normally, so we try to make out time to, try to relax and meet with people. It's like a family get together. So it was really a refreshing time, and I really had great fun here.
One can only hope that Nigerians will brace up and embrace the present situation with hope that things will get better with time. Victoria Solomon, CoreTV News, Lagos.
The leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, is alleging the President Muhammadu Buhari's statement against him and his organization is a reason why he's still in prison custody. Kanu, who has been revealing this through his counsel, Ifeanyi Ejiofor, at a news conference in Abuja, is also saying the President's comment is responsible for him not being granted bail by the court. Judiciary correspondent Basil Okafor was there and brings his reports.
The pro-Biafra activist Nnamdi Kanu is being detained at the Kuje prison after Justice John Soho of the Federal High Court refused to grant him bail. Kanu, through his team of lawyers, is alleging that President Muhammadu Buhari's media chat, where the president accused him of importing transmitter into the country for a radio station broadcast, is the reason why the judge refused to grant him bail. His lawyers believe that the president's utterance is prejudicial and that the federal government should refrain from making comments that will influence the decision.
On issues that is being seized off by the court. Because just like what happened on 29th of December, when he made a reference to the fact that Nnamdi Kanu cannot be granted bail, that apparently affected the mindset of the judge at the point he was deciding his application for bail.
The leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, through his counsel, is also filing a fundamental rights suit against the federal government at the Economic Community of West African State Court of Justice in Abuja. The IOPD members are equally demanding compensation for some of their members allegedly shot and killed by the security operatives during their protests in Southeast and South-South.
There are members who were protesting who have suffered detriment. Those that have died were asking for justice. And of course, you know that the spirit of those that died, usually in agitations like this, will never rest until justice is done.
He is to remain in Kuje prison pending the determination of the case against him by the federal government. Basil Okafor, CoreTV News, Abuja.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a break now, return with more stories. Just stay with us.
VAT, Value Added Tax, is a tax paid on all goods and services and remitted by the seller of the goods or provider of the service to government. 5% VAT is added to the total cost of goods and services in Nigeria, and when remitted to government is used for funding development. The VAT you pay will be used by government to develop our transport infrastructure like roads and railway lines, to continually improve our educational sector by building more schools and upgrading existing ones, to provide adequate security and a better quality of life for us all. Pay your VAT. Make your contributions to the development of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Glad to have you back. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. A quick recap of our top stories. For more of these news stories and our news stories, join us on our social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News, on Twitter at CoreTV News NG, and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV Liverspace News. The People's Democratic Party this afternoon defied a Lagos High Court on Friday, stopping the party from going ahead with its scheduled zonal congress to elect new zonal officers to take charge of party affairs ahead of its repositioning a national congress slated for Port Harcourt, Rivers State in May 21. The Akure Zonal Congress, which had only two Southwest PDP governors, Olusegun Mimiko of Ondo State and Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State, party delegate from the 6 Southwest states in attendance, produced Olorugun Eddie Olafeso from Ondo State as the Southwest Zonal Chairman of the PDP. Speaking before the election of the new officers, which had been zoned by consensus among the 6 states of the Southwest, Governor Olusegun Mimiko called for unity among members of the party. Meanwhile, his Ekiti State counterpart Ayodele Fayose, speaking on the heels of the court order stopping the PDP Congress, says it is only people who are afraid of winning elections that would always resort to the courts to use the instrument of the courts to intimidate those willing and ready for elections. The Akure Southwest Zonal Congress was conducted by a former governor of Rivers State, who was the chairman of the Southwest Zonal Electoral Committee delegated by the party to Akure for the Congress. He, in his brief remarks, said he and his team were in Akure on the instruction of his party chairman, Ali Modu Sharif, who gave the go-ahead for the conduct of the Congress and the zonal election. He asked that he and his committee members have no choice than to obey the party and go on with the conduct of the Congress and election of the zonal officers. Still on the PDP issues, the national leadership of the People's Democratic Party has accused Governor Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State of causing confusion in the party. While speaking with journalists in Abuja today, the National Secretary of the party, Wale Oladipo, says the governor was behind the plan to hold the Southwest Zonal Congress in Akure today, despite a court order which asked the party to suspend the exercise. Also, Oladipo says the party had decided to obey the order of Justice Ibrahim Buba, the Federal High Court in Lagos, which restrained the party from going ahead with a zonal congress. Aside from Akure, another faction of the party had planned to hold a separate zonal congress in Ijebu-Igbo, Ogun State, on the same day before the court order was served on the party's national leadership. The Police Service Commission says it has approved the promotion of 2,058 senior police officers. In a statement by its head, Press and Public Relations, Ike Chukwuani, Commissioner of Police, Kalmo Amadu, was promoted to the rank of Assistant Inspector General of Police, while 99 Superintendents of Police were elevated to the rank of Chief Superintendent of Police. The PSC also approved the promotion of 754 Deputy Superintendents of Police to the rank of Superintendent of Police. The statement added that 1,203 Assistant Superintendents of Police were also promoted to the rank of Deputy Superintendents of Police, while one inspector was elevated to the next rank of Assistant Superintendent of Police. The chairman of the PSC, Michael Kire, retired Inspector General of Police, said the promotions were based on merit, seniority and availability of vacancies. The Indonesian ambassador to Nigeria, Harry Powanto, today ruled out any clemency for anyone caught carrying narcotic drugs in this country. He said his home government would not grant pardon to anyone involved in drug trafficking in Indonesia. Powanto disclosed this in Lagos while reacting to a report that 2 Nigerians were on death row in Indonesia for drug-related offences. The envoy said that capital punishment will be meted out to Nigerians who engage in narcotic crimes, as well as to all the foreigners and Indonesians engaging in the criminal act. He also said that between 72 and 75 young Indonesians that were involved in the narcotic crimes, they are currently in detention, and the President of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, has continued to maintain a firm stance against anyone arrested for involving in narcotic crime. The ambassador appealed to Nigerians to desist from trafficking drugs to and in Indonesia. We now move on to the health sector. The federal government is alerting Nigerians to the outbreak of a killer disease known as Stevens-Johnson syndrome in the country. The Minister of Health, Isaac Adewale, who announced the outbreak of the disease at a news conference in Abuja, said the disease had killed one person. He adds that another person affected by the disease was responding to treatment National Hospital Abuja. Urging Nigerians not to panic, Adewale says the federal government was doing everything possible to check the outbreak. The minister described the health condition as an unusual allergic reaction to medications found in Nigeria and some parts of Europe. He urges Nigerians to always involve health practitioners when unexplained reactions occur as a result of infections or in the use of drugs, as the syndrome is unpredictable and more prevalent in women. SJS is an immune complex-mediated hypersensitivity reaction that typically involves the skin and mucous membranes and was first described in 1922 by Albert Stevens and Frank Johnson. Nigeria is estimated to have about 570,000 cases of tuberculosis, with only about 90,000 detected so far. The country's representative of Challenge TB in Nigeria, Mustafa Gidado, disclosed this while briefing newsmen in Abuja, highlighting that tuberculosis is treatable, curable, and that free treatment is available in government facilities across the country. Our correspondent, Bukola Feni, brings us this report.
The director says only few people have knowledge of tuberculosis in Nigeria. Even specialists in the health sector have little or no knowledge about the disease. He emphasized that the politicians at all levels of government should help create awareness on eradicating the disease.
At the moment, Nigeria is ranked first with the highest burden of tuberculosis in Africa. At the moment, Nigeria is estimated to have over 570,000 tuberculosis patients living with us.
According to the World Health Organization representative, whenever there is a case of tuberculosis outbreak anywhere, everyone is at stake of contracting the disease. He's urging all individuals and stakeholders to work together in having a tuberculosis-free Nigeria.
We have invited key speakers to come and enrich those who attend on knowledge about TB, current issues concerning find TB, treat TB, and cure TB.
Civil society members are advocating for better care and treatment for the people living with HIV and tuberculosis, emphasizing that society should not stigmatize the set of people, rather show love and care to them.
And the media, let this not be a one-stop shop for us. Let there be a continuity of exchanging and interaction.
Any symptoms including coughing consistently for 2 weeks with or without blood, light sweat, and weight loss. Tuberculosis is spread through the air, and when people who have active tuberculosis in their lungs, they cough, spit, or sneeze. The tuberculosis index in Nigeria is now a source of concern across the world, given the country's status in global public health.
The imperativeness of child spacing in reducing maternal death has been stressed at an advocacy meeting with media practitioners in Kaduna. The meeting, held under the Nigerian Urban Reproductive Health Initiative, engaged media practitioners towards making use of contraceptives as the social norm.
Statistics show that 1 in every 20 pregnant women's deaths are from complications related to childbirth, prolonged labor, or excessive blood loss, to complications related to even hypertension. Experts believe that child spacing, commonly referred to as family planning, can effectively remedy the situation. Kaduna State co-coordinator of the Nigerian Urban Reproductive Health Initiative, NUHI, sheds more light.
Tells you how much maternal people are ready to accept. If you do a per capita assessment of the health budget, you'll be shocked to discover that if you give you a per capita investment on your own health.
Some participants shared their experience on the importance of the program.
I don't think it's ideal for us to run away from it. Rather, we should be able to learn and get to see the positive aspects of it and see how we can adopt, even if we're going to modify it.
The consensus is that lower contraceptive problems resort to higher maternal mortality, while higher problems of contraceptive use reduce maternal mortality rates.
Stakeholders in advertising practice are calling on manufacturers to improve the quality of products and do all to offer consumers value for money spent. At a conference in Lagos, experts reinstate their belief advertising goes a long way in promoting brands. Our correspondent, Victoria Solomon, has more in this report.
Advertising has evolved over time through several mediums such as print, electronic, billboard, and even the social media. Organizations reap the benefits of advertising irrespective of the medium used.
I would say very good, because year on year, ad spend has been increasing, so it's a very good business landscape. When you localize these issues, you still realize that outdoor has its place in media buying.
Stakeholders also charge manufacturers on brand equity and customer value.
Also knows and has to be informed on what is expected. So what I'm trying to bring out, if we're going to talk specifically on outdoor, at certain points, you will use outdoor to communicate different life cycles of your brand.
Advertising is a critical driver of growth, right? Because the whole marketing process is about consumers, you know, and if you have a product, you need consumers to know about it.
A caution on creative laziness resulting in recycled advert concepts also goes out to the companies.
But I believe that even those who have achieved a certain level of success should work in tandem with the Copyright Commission, bring in foreign funds to rekit it and retool it. Because to catch these bad guys is very difficult.
It is believed that manufacturers will by this charge revive their creative ingenuity in a bid to improve customer satisfaction. Victoria Solomon, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Still ahead on CoreTV Primetime News, ISIL seizes Syrian hospital. Bringing details of this and more stories on foreign and sports. Let's stay with us.
With over 7 billion of world population and still counting, the world needs to hear you now than ever. Whatever your ministry or vision is, Gospel Africa will help get you there faster than you think possible. For inquiries and participation, contact 009 503 3859 or 0812-076-0011 or visit www.gospelafricang.com. Gospel Africa, your #1 media solutions for the church today. Gospel Africa, showing on this station at this time. CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back. Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besigye, who has been under virtual house arrest since the presidential election in February, has been charged with treason after being whisked out of the capital. Besigye disputed veteran President Yoweri Museveni's victory in the election. The government, however, insists that Museveni's victory was valid, pointing out that Besigye is trying to hold illegal protest. Besigye was arrested in the capital Kampala on Wednesday after staging a ceremony at which he was mock sworn in as president and taken to Moroto, a town about 400 kilometers away. His lawyer, Arias Lukwago, who confirmed the report, said his client was denied legal representation when charged with treason and has been remanded in custody until another court appearance set for May 25. Fighters from the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant ISIL group have overrun a government-controlled hospital in eastern Syria, killing 20 members of pro-government forces and taking medical staff hostage. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights discloses that the fighters attacked Al-Assad Hospital in Deir al-Zazor as the press and advance to control the oil-rich city and its vital airbase. The monitor said the attack sparked clashes with government forces providing security for the hospital, in which 6 fighters were killed. ICU controls about 60% of Diaza, including the center and the north of the city. ISIL has imposed a siege on government-held districts in the south and the east, where about 200,000 civilians have been trapped since March 2014. Still on Syria, an aid group says a siege on a refugee camp in Syria has left about 12,000 persons, including 3,000 children, without enough food or medicine as government forces target the area with rockets and snipers. The group Save the Children disclosed that the last remaining open road out of Khan Eshia, a Palestinian refugee camp near the Syrian capital Damascus, was shot this week as bombing intensified, with dozens of barrel bombs being dropped in the area. The government has not responded to those reports. The crisis in Syria has raged for many years, leaving several of its citizens displaced, including women and children. And now to sports.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
The league management companies awarded 3 points and 3 goals to Giwa's Premier League Week 14 opponent, Aqua United. In the statement, the LMC says they decided to sanction the Jos-based club again, following their refusal to enter the fixture against the Uyo side in Ilori. The league body wants Giwa FC, owned by factional president Nigeria Football Federation Chris Giwa, that they could be expelled from the Premier League if they fail to earn a 3rd consecutive home fixture, having missed 2 already. The statement, signed by LMC's Chief Operating Officer Salihu Abubakar, charged the club for the breach of Rule B 13.25, 2015-2016 NPFL framework, and rules in that it failed to enter the March Day 16 fixture without a reason acceptable to the LMC. The body then fined the giver 250,000 naira for logistics incurred in respect of the march. Barca's 5th victory in a row ensured they won the league by 1 point from Real, who beat Deportivo La Coruna 2-0. Suarez tapped in, powered home a header, and slaughtered Neymar's pass to help Barca edge Granada, as well as give him a La Liga golden boot with 40 goals. Barca, 9 points clear on April 1, will steal a 2nd straight league and cup double if they beat Sevilla in the Copa del Rey final on Sunday, May 22. Domenico Scala, FIFA's head of auditing and compliance, has resigned in protest at reforms at the governing body of world football. Scala has agreed the new FIFA Council will have the ability to appoint and sack those in charge of its committees, including auditing, ethics, and finance. The Council replaced the FIFA Executive Committee in the aftermath of a corruption scandal at the organization. Committees had been deprived of their independence, says Scala. FIFA says the Swiss has made unfounded claims which are baseless. Scala says he's consternated by a decision that makes it possible for the Council to impede investigations by either dismissing committee members or through the threat of a dismissal. This act undermines the central pillar of the good governance of FIFA and destroys a substantial achievement of the reforms. FIFA, which accepted Scala's resignation and installed as deputy Cindy Maboso Koyan as acting chairman, insists the Swiss has misinterpreted the purpose of the decision taken by its Congress. And that's it on CoreTV Primetime News. But before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. Thank you very much for staying with us tonight. I am Nena Oragwa. Do have a beautiful